Chapter 4. Editorial note. The following 4 chapters were recorded or are describing events prior to the Operation Halcyon briefing, which was presented in the archive first in order to provide necessary details on the nature of the mission, as well as physical descriptions of each squad member. Furthermore, my sincerest apologies for burdening you with a petulant teenager's unfiltered thoughts. I assure you, she shows remarkable development in due time. Piety. It would be a miracle if I never had to hear another fucking lecture about piety in my life. I'm sick of it. Every moment on this stupid ship has to feature somebody talking down to me like I'm not at least 6 inches taller than they are and could blow them up by thinking about it really hard. And now it's not even a person I can tell to shut up and leave me alone. It's some mechanical voice on the laud hailer. It sounds like someone tried to record the Lex Imperialis on a Vox scroll made of leftover reactor insulation, and the actual words are even more annoying than that. Oh, the Emperor sees your sins, confess them before you fall in battle and are damned for eternity. Fuck off! I have nothing to hide. Hi, I'm Solara, 17, as far as anyone can tell. Orphan, sanctioned psycher, everyone's favorite punching bag. Scion of a rogue trader dynasty, if you believe the lower deck rumors. Aspiring musician. I'm stuck on the battleship Holy Wisdom, headed to who knows where, to do who knows what, in service of some guy I've never met and a battle sister so thrown-damned uptight she makes a master-at-arms look like a daycare servitor. I've been here since I left the Scholastica Psychana like 2 years ago, as far as anyone can tell. I probably don't need to say this, but I hate it here. I hate everyone here, and I'm keeping track of all of this just to stay sane, I guess. Maybe when they find the Vox recorder on my body, they'll feel a little bit bad about shooting me in the back of the head, and I'll get the last laugh. The big day is coming up. Apparently we're going to arrive soon at some planet somewhere. And I'm going to get deployed, so I need to get double-checked to make sure I'm not going to summon demons or blow anyone up by accident. Hopefully they won't consider me defective if I do it on purpose. Her exact orders were, report to the warded Psychana chamber on deck 22, and something about me getting considered a renegade if I didn't get there on time. Might as well. Not like anything else interesting happens around here. Even the lower deck workers are too straight-laced to let me try some Amasec or something. That's basically a Navy tradition. This ship sucks. Deck 22 had a really weird smell, kind of like the warding incense they had at the Psychana, but way cheaper. It got stronger the closer I got to the practice room, until the door slid open and I started hacking my lungs out. Now the incense was mixed with hot metal and a cloud of loho smoke? Who the fuck was smoking in here? This room clearly isn't ventilated. That's gonna kill someone. Idiot. The inside of the room wasn't much to write home about, besides the psychic sigils and wards written on every wall. Couldn't tell you what they mean. I got like a gamma in those classes anyway. The bars of light on the ceiling were reinforced with steel wires and bulletproof glass, so it was pretty dark in there. Each side of the room had a couple of additional blast doors with a little viewing window next to each one, and in the middle there were a bunch of low tables, cushions, and supplies for psychic meditation. Incense, ritual knives, plant dyes, some crazy drugs the Palatine would probably rather I not know existed, let alone tried, a big jar of salt, you name it. There were a couple servitors there. One had a tray of drinks. The other 3 were just kind of standing around waiting to be ordered around like they usually do. There were 5 people sitting on the cushions in the middle of the room. 3 of them were astropaths. I could tell by the robes and blindfolds. The other 2 looked pretty out of place. One was obviously a former noblewoman trying to convince everyone she still knew how to handle herself in a gunfight. Sturdy-looking mesh robe was draped over her combat chest plate, which had the Psychana icon on the chest and the inquisitorial eye on one of the shoulder pads. It was like she wanted to announce to everyone, hey, I'm a slave. There was a glass helmet sitting in her lap, leaking incense smoke from the inside. I could see myself in the featureless surface, doubled over and trying not to call attention to myself by coughing like I had the Portmaw plague. Her forearms and shins were covered by sleek gray mesh plates, and everything else she was wearing was black except for those. I'm going to be honest, her makeup was drop-dead gorgeous. Everything was perfectly spread, there were no blemishes anywhere, and it was barely noticeable except for the black eyeshadow. Whoever applied it was good at making it look like she almost had none on. Kind of a telltale sign for nobility. No regular person has the time or money to do makeup that good. Drop-dead was a really appropriate word for the eyeshadow now that I think about it. She had these piercing amber eyes that I swear hid something evil, like she was planning to kill you just in case she needed to. The guy next to her was a real piece of work. Built like a Catachan jungle fighter, he had simple camo pants, a plain black tank top, sunglasses, and one of those drill sergeant hats you always see in Vox reels about the Imperial Guard. The hat had some insignia of rank on it, but it was a guard rank, and I don't know shit about guard ranks. The only hair on his face was a perfectly, and I mean perfectly, squared off mustache and a pair of big bushy eyebrows. His arms and chest were coated in scars, with a really painful looking one poking out of his shirt near each armpit. Both of them paused to glance at me, dying in the doorway, and take a drag on a thin, fancy pipe and a big, fat cigar before continuing their conversation. Seriously, you would not believe how big these books were. They make the Lectitio Divinitatis look positively minuscule in comparison. All about ladyship and proper etiquette. They had a 40-page chapter dedicated exclusively to walking properly. I had no idea how they put my brother through it without him losing his mind. The big guy crossed his arms, cigar still in between his fingers, trailing smoke. The ridiculously well-kept stash bounced up and down as he shouted every word. Heh, sounds like some pansy shit to me. My friends just asked me to beat him up when I first told them. Trust me, my brother couldn't have handled himself in a fight if he was armed with a power sword. I loved the man dearly, but he had the constitution of a soggy eclair. I'm too curious for my own good sometimes, so there were two things running through my head. Being dumbfounded that this is where I was meeting other people like me, and what I actually said. Did you win? I called out to the soldier. The muscles on his neck strained as he turned to look at me. Damn straight. He grabbed a bottle of ale from the servitor, tore the cap off effortlessly, and took a swig from it. And that was before I started my injections. All right, I admitted the big guy was pretty cool. Wait a second, who the hell are you? What are you doing in here? Solara, psycher, I'm supposed to be getting evaluated so everyone knows I'm not crazy. I was wondering how long it would take for you to mention your potential, the lady said over the rim of a fancy cocktail glass. She looked me up and down with those horrible amber eyes. You came to a psychic evaluation dressed like that? The word that had a particular sting to it that I figured only nobility could manage. I guess she had a point. I was wearing the same ratty white gob shirt and baggy pants I slept in last night, but I wasn't about to let her be right about something. Yeah, didn't know there was a dress code for having my head looked at. A psyker must remain in control at all times, and your appearance should reflect that fact. That was about the most pompous thing I'd heard all day, even with the sermon on the laud hailer. Uh-huh, sure. Fuck this, I thought. I'm still thinking that. Being a noble must be exhausting. Don't sweat it, kid, the big guy interrupted. I showed up to basic looking about the same way. Got my ass beat for it, but it built character. He pushed himself to his feet and walked towards me. The cushion had basically flattened under his weight. With a hand outstretched and his back straight, he introduced himself. The name's General W.R. Munger, 45th Alaman Regiment, currently the quartermaster and armorer for any and all Acolyte squads. I am also the ship's acting master cannoneer. Hoorah! With a name like that, I wasn't surprised he had this much personality. That sounds like a lot of work. I shook his hand, fully expecting him to break a few of my fingers. Surprisingly enough, his grip was firm, but not enough to hurt. I love my job, he said with a frankly scary amount of gruff enthusiasm. I'm not sure what was worse, the noble lady's fucking murder eyes or the guy named W.R. Munger wearing sunglasses in a dark room and saying that. I hesitated a little bit before asking the next thing on my mind. What happened to the last Master Cannoneer? You said you're acting, right? Warp travel accident. Poor bastard got strangled by a shower curtain that came to life. How was that the most sensible thing I'd heard him say? Weird shit like that happened all the time on the Temptress of Fate. Right? And who's she? I looked over his shoulder to the noblewoman. For all the effort Monger was putting into the macho guardsman persona, he was pretty short. The noble lady took a sip that was just long enough for it to start feeling rude before she addressed me. Master Chirurgeon Cassandra Theodora Podias Hippolyta Gorgo Kyrios III. I wanted to puke. That's so many names. Nobody should have that many names. Not even the rogue trader that people joked was my dad had that many names. Expecting anyone to remember that many names has to be some kind of crime. In Gothic, please. I could feel my soul flickering as she fixed those eyes straight on me. I'm under no obligation to dumb anything down for you because you don't want to pay attention. Call me Lady Kyrios if you must. Throne, she reminded me of the Battle Sister. Every other word had to be some reminder that she's better than you. It was a lot less murderous coming from her. For now, anyway. Well, let's get this over with, I said, trying to change the subject with all the subtlety of a macro cannon. We only have so much time to waste on introductions. She took that little jab in stride, or maybe she thought I'd get bored if she never acknowledged how easy it is to hate her. Either way, I got another disturbing look from her before she started collecting her stuff from the table. The crazy drugs stayed in their little containers, thankfully. I was not looking to send myself to the Halo Stars in the company of these two. We all moved into one of the blast-proof rooms, with Monger barking orders at one of the servitors to follow us. The inside of these rooms was absolutely barren. Seriously, completely empty except for a warded cogitator and a big steel target in the shape of a person. Would it kill them to stock a fridge? I just kind of drifted into the middle, maybe on a subconscious hunt for some interesting cracks in the fucking floor to look at, and Cassandra the Many-Named stopped me. Stay there. Why? The millisecond that word left my mouth, I saw her start pouring salt around my feet. Seriously? A salt circle? This is first-year stuff. I could have done this myself. If you understood the importance, you would have placed it on your own. This fucking self-righteous know-it-all. She has to be a telekine. Not even the meathead Templars who tried out for the scrumball team were this annoying. Did you do telekinetics? A block of charcoal was already floating into her fingers. Of course. I honed it alongside my biomancy skills. Why? What an overachiever. Only telekines are this obsessed with protocol. Monger cracked a smile at that one. All it got from Cassandra the Destroyer of Worlds was an eye roll. Then she started drawing more wards. How many times have you experienced a near possession event, dear Solara? Protocol will keep you from becoming a puppet for the warp, and prevent its more subtle influences in the long term. Those who eschew it burn out rather quickly. Oh, ha, fire pun, real original. She looked directly into my eyes again. Is that truly all you gleaned from my statement? Yes. Don't break the salt circle. I knew that already. She didn't say much after that. A couple more wards on the floor, and I was ready to start the evaluation. Monger got a clipboard from somewhere. I wasn't looking. All right, kid. It says here you're a pyromancer. Now, assuming my High Gothic is good. That isn't a High Gothic word, by the way. That means fire. Step 1 is to shoot some fire at the big target without blowing yourself up or summoning a demon. If you do summon one, make it one of them blood boys so I can fist fight him. Okay. He's funny, but thrown, what a lunatic. I made sure I had stable footing and did my breathing techniques. In, hold, out, focus. The warp is fuel. You are the spark. Feed it in gradually, only take as much as you need. Don't let the screaming vortex of wailing souls and infinite madness overtake you. Hold it back. Hold it back. Only he shall dam the flow where you cannot. My hand started warming up, and I flicked it forward. A little ball of fire sailed across the room and hit the target's shoulder, scorching the metal. There! Easy. Monger scribbled on the clipboard. All right, no demons. Do it again. Same as the first time. In, hold, out, focus. The Emperor protects. The Emperor protects. The Emperor protects. Whoosh. One more. Can you ask me to do something else already? In, hold, out. The Emperor protects. Works for me. Now turn around. I turned to face him after a second. What is this part for? Don't worry about it. He continued to scribble on the clipboard. See if you can melt the head off that target without damaging anything else. All right. Turn back to the target. Focus again. Focus more. Reach out with body and soul. Think of what you fight for. The lower decks, the everyman, the people who treated you right. Think of what you fight against. Chaos, the boot on your back. Destroy it. Incinerate it. The target's head hit the floor with a big clang and splashed liquid metal around it. I basically turned the warp into a las cutter and sliced it at the neck. I thought it was cool. The general seemed to agree. Not bad, he said, set against the sound of him pushing way too hard on that pencil. Both hands in the air, now! The fuck are you, a master-at-arms? I raised my arms. My crappy gob shirt went up with them, and I think my belly button was poking out. It earned another rich lady stare from Cassandra the imitation custodian. I am a master in the use of all arms, for your information, including these! Yeah, he started flexing. For once I saw a flicker of real human emotion in Cassandra's eyes, pain at having to witness this. When he finished, he brought the clipboard up to his face and scrunched his nose. Next up, joint casting exercises. Oh no. Can I do this with one of the astropaths? I asked, praying I wouldn't need to do a joint cast with her. Monger shook his head and part of me died on the spot. The last thing I needed was to try and link my soul with the villain of a Vox reel about a succession crisis. She'd probably try to mind control me or something. Orders are orders, I guess. I got a brand new sense of impending death as I turned to address her. So, how are we doing this? I will lend you my psychic power, and you will cast a spell of your choosing. It must be able to benefit from the surge of warp energy. Thank you for the donation, Your Grace. She really didn't like that one. I wanted to laugh, but it felt like my sanctioning brand was gripping my throat while she unleashed a death glare that was somehow worse than usual. Recognize your betters, said a little voice in my head. I said fuck off. She is not my better. She's an uptight noblewoman who uses names to fill the void left by her missing personality. I tried not to look like I was afraid of her and took my usual stance. She stood next to me, saying nothing and doing nothing. One of the first things you learn in the Psychana is that the scariest people can do psychic shit without moving at all, and that thought came flooding back just then. Has she started yet? I didn't feel any different. I got ready to sling another fireball and the warp fucking sucker punched me. Raw power was everywhere around me. Every sense got sharper. I felt like more of me. That probably doesn't make sense to blunts, but I don't care. Take it all in. Burn as hot as a star. No, wait, shit. Only let in as much as you need. Fuck, no! By the time I actually figured out what was going on, there were little bolts of electricity jumping out of me in every direction. My hair was standing on end, so was Cassandra's. Monger's chest hair was poking through his top in a dozen places. The electricity only lasted a second, which gave me the chance to turn back towards the general and the noble with the least confident, toothy smile I think I've ever given anyone. Ever. Yep, that wasn't supposed to happen. At least I cast the spell, right? That is exactly what I was referring to when I told you we have to maintain control. Cassandra felt the need to add while she was trying to get her hair back in place. We're lucky it was only a static discharge. You could have endangered us or the entire ship. I could not handle her shit anymore. I made it through the Psychana training. I am not a threat to the whole fucking ship. Any fear that her eyes struck in me was burning away in passion and rage. So I threw my hands in the air, which smelled like smoke and ozone at this point, and said, well, maybe if you hadn't given me so much warp energy, I wouldn't have messed it up. I'm still new to this, and as the all-knowing sage you are, you should have been able to figure that out. I honestly thought she was about to kill me, but at least then I'd have a chance to mess up her oh-so-perfect makeup before my soul got snuffed out. My head would be crushed, or she'd try to stop my heart, or she'd just throw me against the wall like every other horror reel about a witch. I couldn't have prepared myself for what actually happened, though. The whole room got darker. There were persistent whispers, getting louder and louder, coming from every direction. I could see the walls falling away at the edge of my vision, revealing swirling purple currents and pink lightning. Throne, did I open a warp portal? Shit. Go for the door. Try to warn someone. The door's gone. My handlers are gone. The pyre is gone. It's just me, set against the infinite expanse. I'm floating for a second, trying to swim to safety in mind and body. There's nothing to hold on to for either half of me. I can't shut my eyes. Something is forcing me to see it all. It's everything, every thought of every one. It's captivating, churning, scintillating madness. It wants to claim my soul, to pull my desires apart until nothing is left. I can't resist it. I will succumb. It's destiny. No, I'm not the warp's fucking puppet. Don't let it overtake you. Remember who you are, Solara. The girl from the Temptress of Fate, the witch that couldn't be burned. Remember Vashon. He's everything you wanted to be, everything you still want to be. We are the Emperor's torch. I can't be extinguished. Not now, not ever. Then I opened my eyes and everything was normal. I was curled up on the floor with one leg covered in salt from rolling around in the circle. My vision was still pretty dark and everything was spinning. Countess Baroness Cassandra von Scheisse was looking at me with a smirk and Monger was behind her, stone-faced as ever. Did you do that? Was the only thing I could manage to say as I waited for my heart to stop pounding in my ears. Indeed, that was a technique commonly referred to as touch of madness. I wanted to cut her off, but I could barely think at this stage. I already knew what that was. Of course I knew what it was. It was something we were told to watch out for in the Psychana. Sorcerers do it all the time. On your feet! Monger shouted with absolutely zero regard for what I'd just been through. I started to get up and brush the salt off myself. Fuck both of you, I'm leaving. If I fail the test, the Palatine can come kill me herself. And I made for the door.
Actually, you passed.
The door hissed open, and my feet stayed at the frame while I stared at him in disbelief. Wait, really? Is there a letter grade to go with it, or is it just pass or fail? He brought the clipboard back up to his face and nodded. So did Cassandra of the Infinite Void, but she had a look of silent disappointment to match her edgy as fuck outfit.
There's a letter grade. You got a, let me just run the numbers here. Yep, beta, or beta minima.
Whatever.